The use of data encryption programs as an excuse for terrorism charges. The network affair. 5 years in jail for tweeting about children of policemen. Vladislav Sinitsa's case. Someone else's chat log on Telegram as evidence of preparing civil unrest. The Podgotovka affair in the city of Rostov. These are just a few examples of today's repressions in Russia. In the network affair, terrorist case fabricated by FSB, young anti-fascists were also accused for using a Jabber messenger and Tails, a Linux distribution aimed at preserving anonymity. They were sentenced to 6 to 18 years of prison. We can only wonder which kind of software one should use to consider a loyal citizen. It is probably no coincidence that Vladimir Putin recently signed a law that makes it mandatory to pre-install Russian software on all electronic devices sold to Russians. Prosecution for posts on the social network Contact has already become a routine. Its administration gives out all personal data to Russian users to the investigating authorities at first request. Recently, Communications Minister Maksut Shadaev proposed giving security officials general access to citizens in order to not waste time with writing requests. In August 2019, the Russian Domestic Intelligence Service, FSB, sent out a dozen letters to internet services, including Avito, Rutube, and Habr, asking to disclose keys for decrypting messages and round-the-clock access to users' profiles. It is true that a decision of the court is required for these controls, but who will control this? Besides, it can be obtained retroactively. The Russian authorities try hard to reach user data from internet companies that are not so cooperative in sharing information with them. The methods are very original here, ranging from an Interpol notice to a molecular examination of a bicycle helmet on the user's profile picture, the case of blogger Konstantin Izotov from Shebaksary, or trying to get a political prisoner so that he confesses to having shared a controversial text, as was the case with opposition activist Dmitry Tretyakov. The Rostov boys Vladislav Morozov and Yang Sidorov were falsely accused of rioting on the basis of somebody else's aggressive chat messages in a group chat. They were sentenced to 6.5 years in the Novoy Veliky case. The main evidence was a copy of group chats provided by a special services agent Rodion Zelensky. In addition, someone had modified it. Apparently, on Telegram, the FSB can identify the owners of accounts and channels using a flaw which allows to find out a user's phone number by creating a large contact list with different numbers and trying them out. In Hong Kong, this is how the members of protest groups identified last summer's unrest. Using the same technique, Medusa journalists were able to de-anonymize the owner of the Telegram channel, which had previously published the personal data of 3,000 people linked with recent Moscow rallies. After the scandal, the messenger developer released an update that allows users to hide their phone number from everyone. What happens to those whose data leaks is well known. A new trend of repressing different criminal charges against the same person, Doria Polyudova, the leader of the leftist resistance movement, is simultaneously charged with terrorism and calls for separation, while Bashkir nationalist is charged with 5 different extremist and terrorist offenses. The above blogger Konstantin Izotov got charged at the same time for rehabilitation of Nazism and the spread of pornography. He got sentenced to 3.5 years. More recently, blogger and businessman Alexander Kolomaitsev became a defendant in 5 criminal cases, 3 of which are associated with the release of his video blog. IT developers and online users, mainly young people, learn to resist censorship and snooping, unauthorized access to user data, in the face of state pressure. Skills of encryption and bypassing locks have become indispensable for survival in the modern information environment, if you want to be aware of what is happening without getting behind bars.